Most men think the way to a woman's heart is constant affection, attention, and praise. But the truth? That's exactly what kills attraction. She starts ignoring your texts. She treats your efforts like they don't matter. You're wondering what changed, but the answer is brutal. You gave her everything before she earned anything. And now she's bored. Meanwhile, the guy who barely notices her, he's all she thinks about. Today, you'll learn why women get addicted to men who act like they're nothing, and how you can become one of them. Not by pretending, not by playing games, but by becoming a person who values himself. Comment: no more confusions. Number 1. The power of indifference. Indifference is not pretending not to care. It's truly not attaching your identity to her validation. It's not checking your phone every 5 minutes hoping she replied. It's not spending your day thinking about what she thinks of you. It's waking up and your first thought is not her, but your mission, your discipline, your future, and most of all, your peace. Because the man who is indifferent has peace, and the man who has peace holds power, and she senses that power before you even speak a word, because she can feel when a man is self-contained, when he's fulfilled without her, when he doesn't need to be chosen because he already chose himself. And most men today are not living this way. Most men hand their dignity over for a response. They throw away their self-worth for the chance to be seen by someone who hasn't even earned their presence. They confuse effort with effectiveness, and they spend every ounce of their mental energy on a woman who barely thinks of them. And it's because they've been taught since childhood that love is earned by sacrifice, by giving endlessly, by doing more, by becoming softer, by catering, by chasing. And they've been lied to, because the moment you place a woman above your principles, you lose her and yourself at the same time, because no matter how much effort you give, if she senses that your world stops for her, she no longer wants to be in that world. She wants to orbit a man whose life is moving with or without her, whose attention is not given, it's earned. And you don't achieve that mindset by faking distance or playing games or waiting 3 hours before replying. That's manipulation, and it doesn't work long term. What works is becoming a man whose life is so rich, so structured, so full of forward motion that you do not have the time, energy, or interest to be emotionally pulled by someone who hasn't earned access to your mind. You no longer fantasize about her because your mind is consumed with your goals, your progress, your clarity. And when you reach that level, you become magnetic because your silence isn't a tactic, it's the consequence of your focus. And she feels that absence not as an insult, but as an invitation to earn your presence. But to get there, you must stop betraying yourself. Stop negotiating your standards. Stop delaying your goals because you hope she'll notice you. Stop softening your voice, your truth, your pace just to be likable. And ask yourself honestly, how much of your energy have you spent trying to convince someone to like you? How many hours have you wasted worrying if you're being too much or too unavailable, when in reality you've made yourself completely available and still got rejected? And this is the lesson. Indifference doesn't mean you have no emotions. It means your emotions don't run you. They don't drag you into desperation. They don't convince you to chase validation. And that control over self is rare. And because it's rare, it's valuable. And the moment you stop chasing, you start choosing. The moment you stop hoping for attention, you start demanding respect through your presence alone, and that energy cannot be faked. It must be forged in solitude, in discipline, in failure, in years of not being enough for the wrong ones, in rebuilding yourself, not to win someone back, but to never lose yourself again. And it's in those quiet hours alone, when you want to reach out but don't, when you want to beg but stay still, when you want to explain but choose silence, that indifference is built, and slowly you become untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you've healed, not because you stopped caring, but because you care more about your peace than someone else's opinion. And in that state you are unshakable, because you can walk away from anything that threatens your standards, and women feel that in their bones. They know the difference between a man who is pretending not to care and a man who genuinely doesn't rely on their reaction to feel whole. And that kind of man is unforgettable, because in a world full of men who throw themselves at the slightest sign of interest, a man who moves forward with or without their attention is irresistible, not because of how he treats them, but because of how he treats himself. And if you're wondering how to build this, you start small. Today you don't double text. Today you don't cancel your plan for a maybe. Today you go to the gym even when you're tired. Today you write your goals even if they feel far. Today you say no, even when yes would be easier. Today you speak less and listen more. And over time, your actions teach your subconscious that your life matters, your energy matters, your time matters, and slowly your inner world becomes more important than any reply you could get. And once you live in that world, you are free, because nobody can take something from you that they never gave you in the first place, and that is the power of indifference. It gives you yourself back. And when you have yourself, you attract what aligns, not what distracts. Because the truth is, most men lose in relationships because they enter them trying to prove their worth. Instead of living their worth, they overgive, over-explain, over-validate, hoping to be chosen. And they forget that the man who is chased is not the man who gives everything. He's the man who gives what's earned, the man whose presence feels like a privilege, not a given, the man whose absence creates tension, the man who moves in silence because he's too focused to entertain chaos. And that man isn't born, he's built. He's built through every rejection he didn't let define him, every betrayal he turned into clarity, every moment he sat with his emotions and didn't act on them, every choice he made that honored his higher self over his temporary feelings. And once he reaches that state, he doesn't chase. He chooses. He doesn't argue. He acts. He doesn't beg. He builds. And she notices, not because he tries to be noticed, but because he's so different from what she's used to. Because he's not impressed by beauty, he's impressed by behavior. He's not moved by attention, he's moved by alignment. And that level of manhood cannot be faked. It can only be earned through years of self-mastery. And if you are listening to this and feel the weight of these words, let that weight wake you up. Let it shake you out of your comfort. Let it pull you into your higher self. Because everything you want begins with one decision. The decision to stop giving your power away to someone who doesn't value it and reclaim it through action, clarity, discipline, and stillness. Because stillness is strength, not inaction, but precision, not passivity, but peace. And once you master that, indifference is no longer something you practice. It's who you are. And the people who didn't value you before will notice, and they'll come back. But you won't care, not out of spite, but because by then you'll be too far ahead to look back, too rooted to be shaken, too full to be emptied. And that is the power of indifference. And if this truth is hitting somewhere deep inside you, if you're tired of losing yourself for people who never chose you fully, if you're ready to stop chasing and start building a life where peace, purpose, and power come from within, then the Stoic relationship blueprint is your next step. Not just a book, but a life-changing blueprint that's now available in audiobook form, so you can carry these truths with you while walking, running, or commuting, letting the wisdom sink in with every step, because these are timeless principles that rewire how you move in love, in life, and in your own mind. And once you own this audiobook, it's yours forever, always there to revisit, to realign, to remind you who you really are when the noise gets too loud and you start to forget. So don't wait. The link is in the comments. Take the step. Invest in the one relationship that shapes all others, the one you have with yourself. Number 2. Chasing triggers. Emotion. The moment you start chasing, you lose the very thing you hope to gain, because chasing comes from lack, and lack is never attractive, and you know this deep down, because you've felt it every time you've sent that extra text and got nothing back, every time you stayed up hoping she'd call and she didn't, every time you gave more than you should have, and were rewarded with silence, because when you chase someone, you're telling them without saying a word that they are the prize and you are the seeker, that your value depends on their response, and that you are willing to shrink yourself just to be near them. And the worst part is that you don't even realize you're doing it until it's too late, until you look at yourself and wonder how you ended up here again. Texting someone who hasn't earned your words, changing your schedule for someone who wouldn't do the same for you, letting your emotions dictate your actions instead of standing firm in your worth. And this is the cycle that breaks men from the inside, not all at once, but slowly, piece by piece, as they trade their standards for attention, their goals for distraction, their power for a maybe. And the truth is, you don't chase when you know your value, because the one who chases is always the one who feels they have more to prove. And when you operate from that space, you become invisible, not because you aren't enough, but because you gave too much before anything was even built. And she doesn't see you as a leader. She sees you as a follower, someone who waits for her to decide, someone who revolves around her moods and texts and hints. And nothing is more repelling than a person who needs permission to be confident, to lead, to stand tall. And the irony is that the more you give trying to win her, the less she values you. Not because she's cruel, but because humans are wired to want what they must work for. And you have removed the work, you have laid it all out. You've exposed every feeling and every intention, and while it might feel honest, it actually removes the tension, and tension is where attraction lives, because she needs to feel pulled, not pushed. She needs to feel uncertain, not smothered. She needs to wonder about you, not be flooded with your constant availability. And every time you reach out when she hasn't earned it, you teach her that she doesn't have to. And the emotional imbalance grows wider until she doesn't even think about you anymore. And yet you're still checking your phone, hoping for a text that will never come. Not because you're not worthy, but because you gave her the emotional payoff before she was emotionally invested, and you cannot do that and expect connection. You cannot keep offering your loyalty to someone who hasn't even decided if they respect you yet. And this is where the Stoic mind must step in, not to close yourself off, not to become bitter, but to take control of what you allow your energy to be tied to, because your mind is a fortress, and if you leave the gates open, anyone can walk in and rearrange your peace. And when you chase her, you let her dictate your energy, and she didn't even ask to lead you, simply handed it over, and now she's walking away, not because she's evil, but because humans devalue what is given too easily. And this is not just about dating. This is life economics. Attention, given freely, is never respected because value is in effort. And if you want to break the cycle, you must learn to sit with the discomfort of not being chosen and realize that your peace is worth more than a response, and your focus is too sacred to be spent on someone who hasn't shown up for you. And the man who learns to control his chase controls his emotions, and the man who controls his emotions controls his world. And this is the man who doesn't need to text her after one date, who doesn't need to ask her where they stand, who doesn't need to pour himself out in hopes of being seen. He is the man who knows that the right people will make their intentions known, and he doesn't fill in the gaps with desperate effort. And if she is not showing you clear interest, then you match that energy with stillness, not anger, not bitterness, stillness. You focus on building your body, your skills, your clarity, and she will feel that shift, because chasing is a frequency, and once you stop emitting it, the dynamic changes. You no longer come off as desperate, you come off as powerful, and not because you said anything, but because you stopped saying everything, and the silence becomes a mirror for her to confront what she's been doing. And sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't, but it won't matter, because by then you've seen the pattern clearly, and you're not playing that game anymore, because every time you chased and got rejected, you weren't being punished, you were being taught. And the lesson is this: never again offer the depth of your emotions to someone who hasn't shown the depth of their effort. Never again romanticize someone who treats you like a convenience, and never again believe that being the most available makes you the most attractive, because the person who stands firm is the one remembered. The person who doesn't need the validation is the one desired, and every moment you want to chase is a moment to reflect, what am I seeking that I should be giving myself? And the answer will almost always be attention, reassurance, control. And you don't need it from her. You need to build it within. And that starts with honesty. What does chasing her really give you? What are you running from by running toward her? Because often we chase to avoid stillness, because in stillness we hear our truth, we see our lack of purpose, we feel our insecurities, and instead of facing that, we reach out, hoping they'll distract us from ourselves. And that's not love, that's fear. And fear cannot build connection, only dependency. And dependency is poison, and she senses it and runs, and you're left empty. Not because you weren't good enough, but because you made her your entire focus. And that is not attractive to someone who wants to be part of your life, not your whole identity. And from this day forward, you stop chasing, not to prove anything to her, but to protect your peace. You start walking with your eyes forward, not back. You stop writing long texts that come from emotion, and you start building a life that speaks louder than any message ever could. And you develop the inner strength to feel the pull to reach out and sit with it, not act on it. You train yourself to find peace in silence and freedom, in detachment, and in that space. You become someone who no longer needs to be chased or chosen, because you have already chosen yourself. And she will feel the shift, and some will be drawn to it, and others will fall away. But none of that will shake you, because chasing is not your job anymore. Building is choosing, is leading, is. And the next time you're tempted to chase, ask yourself, what would the version of me who respects himself do right now, and do that? And slowly you'll realize you never needed to chase to be valued. You just needed to stop chasing to see who truly values you. Number 3, scarcity creates value. When your attention is too available, it becomes invisible, And the reason so many people ignore you isn't because you're not enough, but because you keep putting yourself everywhere all the time for anyone who shows the smallest sign of interest, and they sense it, they feel it, they see it in your eyes when you light up. Just because they smiled, they hear it in your voice when you answer too quickly. They read it in your text when you reply in seconds with paragraphs and emojis and desperate subtext begging to be seen. And it's exhausting to witness someone willing to give themselves away like that. And while you think you're showing affection, what you're really showing is that you have nothing else going on, that your time is so cheap. You'll throw it at anyone who notices you, and you don't realize that your constant presence starts to feel like noise. It becomes predictable, and what is predictable gets ignored, and then you spiral. You ask why you're not enough, why they stop trying, why they don't reciprocate, and the truth is brutal but clear. You gave too much too fast, and there was no effort left for them to make. And people only value what costs them something, and your problem is not your effort. Your problem is you give effort without requiring anything in return. You don't make them prove they're worth your time. You hand out your energy like it means nothing and expect to be respected in return. But that's not how human nature works. People need contrast to appreciate anything. They need silence to feel sound. They need absence to feel presence. And when you are always there, always texting, always showing up, they stop feeling anything at all because they know you'll be there. And that certainty kills desire. And you keep thinking being more available will make them finally appreciate you. But it only buries you deeper into irrelevance because no one treasures what is always accessible. And if you want to be remembered, if you want to be chased, if you want to be respected, you must become rare, not by pretending, not by playing games, but by becoming a man who has a life so rich, so full, so deeply aligned, that he doesn't have time to be everywhere for everyone, because he's building something that requires his attention, something that doesn't pause, just because someone attractive showed interest. And you build that kind of life, one decision at a time. Every time you say no to a last-minute plan, every time you choose to stay focused on your priorities, instead of texting someone who hasn't earned you, every time you decide to show up for yourself before showing up for someone else, you are training your mind to value your time. And when you start valuing your time, others do too. And when they sense that you don't move unless it aligns, that you don't chase unless it's reciprocal, that you don't explain yourself to people who haven't even asked who you are, they feel it and they treat you differently. And now your presence is felt because it's not guaranteed. And now your attention matters because it's not given away. And the people who used to ignore you start leaning in. Not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped offering yourself like a discount item, hoping someone would pick you up. And you have to realize that your time is a currency, and the more you give it freely, the less it's worth. And if you want to protect your peace, your focus, your dignity, you must become exclusive with your access, and that means you stop explaining your value to people who've shown no sign of understanding it. It means you stop opening your world to someone who hasn't even knocked. It means you stop initiating every conversation, every plan, every text, and you let people step up and show you their level. And if they don't, then you walk away, not with bitterness, but with clarity, because you don't chase what isn't trying to keep you, and you don't force your way into places where your presence isn't respected. And this is not arrogance. This is alignment. This is understanding that your energy is sacred, and the people who deserve it will feel honored by it, and the ones who don't will fade. And both outcomes are blessings, because the faster someone shows you their disinterest, the faster you get your time back, and you stop wasting it trying to convince someone to see your worth, and you return to building the kind of life that makes people wish they had access, but by then access is earned, not given. And that shift is where everything changes. When you stop being available to everyone, you become valuable to the right ones. And that's when the texts start coming in from people who took you for granted when you were easy to reach. That's when the invitations return from people who stopped checking in when you stopped initiating, and you'll be tempted to prove your value by responding, but you won't. Because now you understand that your silence speaks louder than anything you could say, and your absence carries a weight your presence never did. And the ones who took you lightly now take you seriously. And the ones who ignored you now study your patterns, trying to find a way back in. And you don't hold grudges. You just don't hold space anymore for people who didn't hold space for you when it mattered. And this is how you transform, not by being loud, not by demanding attention, but by becoming so focused on your path that your detachment becomes undeniable. And she feels it when she used to expect your name to pop up, and now it doesn't when she used to see your likes and comments. And now there's silence when she used to think she could come back at any time. And now the door is closed and she has to knock and wait and hope. And this is what happens when you become scarce, when you protect your energy, when you realize that not everyone deserves access to you, and the ones who do will prove it, not through words but through consistency. And until that consistency is shown, you remain still, not chasing, not reacting, not hoping, just building. And this is how you shift from being an option to being the standard. Not because you forced it, but because you finally realized your value was never in what you gave freely, but in what you reserved for those who earned it. Number 4, confidence is power. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand attention, and it doesn't chase approval. True confidence is quiet, unshakable, and comes from a place that most men never reach because they spend their lives seeking permission to be strong instead of building that strength from the inside out. And what most fail to understand is that confidence is not something you earn from others. It's not a result of external validation, likes, compliments, or women smiling back. It's built in private, when no one is watching, when you decide you are enough with or without applause, when you wake up and show up for yourself, not because someone expects it, but because your word means something to you. And that level of self-trust is rare because it requires discipline in a world that rewards comfort. It requires choosing your goals over distractions, choosing your code over convenience, and choosing self-respect over temporary validation. And the reason so many people aren't confident is because they keep breaking promises to themselves. They say they'll start tomorrow and don't. They say they'll speak up and stay silent. They say they'll walk away and stay longer. And every time they do this, they chip away at their own power until all that's left is a shell that needs to be light to feel worthy. And she sees that. She feels it in your energy when you need her to like you, when you adjust who you are to fit what you think she wants, when your voice changes depending on who's in the room, when you laugh at things that aren't funny just to feel included, when your spine disappears the second you sense disapproval, and she loses respect because she's not looking for someone who bends. She's drawn to someone who stands, not against her, but in himself. Because a man who is centered is magnetic, and that centeredness doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from clarity, from knowing who you are, what you value, and what you will never compromise on. And the man who moves through life with that clarity becomes untouchable because nothing she does can sway him. Her silence doesn't rattle him. Her tests don't confuse him. Her interest doesn't inflate him because he's not moved by her. He's moved by principle, and in today's world, that is power, because everywhere she looks, she sees men who break themselves to be chosen, who fold at the first sign of attraction, who try so hard to be liked that they forget to be respected. And respect always outweighs affection, because affection fades when it's not built on admiration. And admiration is only given to those who live with conviction. And if you want to build confidence, you must stop outsourcing your self-worth. Stop waiting for someone to say you're enough. Stop needing permission to lead, and start living by a standard you don't negotiate. You start by keeping the promises you make to yourself, no matter how small, by speaking truth even when it's inconvenient, by looking people in the eye and saying what you mean without apology, by walking away when your peace is on the line, by showing up consistently, not because it gets you praise, but because it's who you are now. And over time, your inner world becomes so rooted that nothing outside can shake it. And when you become that man, you no longer chase. You no longer ask for validation. You no longer crumble under rejection, because you know that who you are is not up for debate. It's not a question someone else gets to answer. And that is the kind of man people follow, trust and desire, because he doesn't need to be desired. And that is the paradox. The more you need her to want you, the less she will. The less you need her to want you, the more she will try to earn you, not because you're manipulating her, but because your energy is rare. Because most men broadcast desperation, and a man who broadcasts certainty is like oxygen. And you become that man not by faking it, but by doing the internal work every single day without witnesses. And confidence becomes your default, not because everything is perfect, but because you have built yourself to handle anything. And that kind of strength is not gifted. It is forged. It is carved out in moments of loneliness, rejection, failure, and silence. And when you've walked through enough of that with your head high, you don't shrink for anyone. And she notices, not because you tried to be noticed, but because confidence can't be hidden. It speaks before you do. Number 5. Mystery fuels attraction. When someone can predict everything about you, they stop thinking about you, because mystery is not confusion, it's fascination. It's the space between what they know and what they still want to learn. And the reason you keep losing interest from people who were once obsessed with you is because you revealed too much too soon. You opened up too quickly. You gave them the blueprint before they even asked for the map. And while you thought you were creating connection, what you really did was remove the space for curiosity. And people don't stay where they're not curious, because once they've seen all your cards, the game is over. And the tragedy is that you gave all of yourself to someone who hadn't even earned access to your name. You poured out your pain, your past, your insecurities, your vision, and thought this would make them feel closer. But instead they felt overwhelmed, because no one values what they didn't work for. And you turned your depth into a discount, your soul into small talk, and now you feel used. But you volunteered to be seen before it was time, and this is the harsh truth you must accept. If you give too much too fast, you rob them of the chance to discover you, and people only treasure what they uncover piece by piece. And that's what mystery does. It creates engagement, not through manipulation, but by holding something back, by not revealing everything on day one, by letting silence do some of the talking, by answering with presence instead of over-explaining. And this doesn't mean you hide who you are. It means you understand that not everyone deserves immediate access to your layers. And the deeper you are, the longer it should take to be known. Not because you're cold, but because you're calibrated. And when you live this way, people lean in, they ask more, they try harder, they listen deeper, because you're not broadcasting. You're drawing them in without effort. And the moment she senses there's more to you than what's on the surface, she stays intrigued, because mystery activates her imagination, and imagination is more powerful than information. When you tell her everything, she stops dreaming. When you show her everything, she stops wondering, and attraction dies in the absence of wonder. So, if you want to keep someone interested, don't be unreadable, be layered, don't be vague, be paced, and let them earn access to your story, one chapter at a time. And if they're not patient enough for that, they're not ready for your depth, because the ones who rush don't stay. The ones who are drawn to mystery are also drawn to meaning, and that means you must live a life worth discovering, not one built on secrets, but one built on substance. And you start today by saying less, by showing more through action, by being fully present instead of constantly explaining, by letting go of the need to be understood by everyone, and trusting that the right people will be captivated by your energy before they ever understand your mind. And mystery is not a game, it's a posture. It's the way you move when you're grounded in your self-worth, when you don't need to be validated to feel complete, when you know your value is not in your availability but in your presence. And that presence becomes addictive because it is rare, and rare always wins attention in the end. If you're still listening, it's because something deep inside you knows you've been living below your value, handing your worth to people who never earned it, seeking love where there's only control, chasing validation in a world that laughs at your pain. And the reason is simple. They never wanted you to know this truth. Society feeds you lies to keep you weak, emotional, obedient. But now you've seen the other side. The Stoic Relationship Blueprint is more than a book. It's the blueprint for reclaiming your power as a man, built on timeless Stoic principles that will flip your reality from confused and reactive to calm, focused, unshakable. It's now available in audiobook, so you can absorb this life-altering wisdom while walking, training, or simply breathing in your peace. You'll own it forever. It's yours. And no one can take this knowledge from you once you have it. The link is in the comments. If you're ready to stop being the man the world wants you to be and start becoming the man you were born to be, comment, "I'm reclaiming myself," like this video, and subscribe so more men can find this truth and save themselves from a lifetime of silent regrets.